in a conference room shows Phil Hartman standing in a suit while holding a toy gun, with John Belushi, Chris Farley, Jan Hooks, Norm Macdonald, Gilda Radner, and Denitra Vance sitting around a conference table. Hartman: thank you all for attending this impromptu meeting. Now, you all know how here at Turf Corp, we are in the business of selling children's toys with foam darts. Since some people believe we are promoting the use of real weapons with our toys, we are trying to be as liberal as possible so as to not upset the anti-gun crowd. To that end, I discovered that a high school teacher in Seattle recently told his class that the term straight is an offensive term. He said not to use the term straight, as it implies that not to be straight is to be crooked, which could have a negative connotation. We are going to jump on top of this new trend, and from now on, this company is going to ban the use of the S word. From now on, if your sexual orientation ever comes up, it's heterosexual, not the S word. Shows John Belushi sitting at the conference table not paying attention. Hartman: hey, Jack, what's your sexual orientation? Belushi: I'm straight. Hartman aims his toy gun at Belushi and fires foam darts at him. Belushi falls out of his chair into a pool of blood. Hartman: okay, anyone else want to not pay attention? Hartman looks at Farley and says, Jim, what's your goddamn sexual orientation? Farley: heterosexual, sir. Hartman: very good. Now we're getting the hang of it. And further, I will no longer be known as your administrator, but instead your AdminiGAYtor. I will no longer administrate, but instead I will AdminiGAY. Shows Jan Hooks trying to hold in her laughter. Hartman: I'm sorry, Sally. Is something funny? Hooks: no, sir. Hartman aims the gun at her and yells, then why the hell are you laughing? Hooks: I just thought that it was kind of silly that we would call you an AdminiGAYtor. Hartman fires foam darts at Hooks, who falls out of her chair into a pool of blood. Hartman: anyone else think AdminiGAYtor is a funny word? That's better. Now, does anyone have any questions on how we'll be conducting ourselves here on out at Turf Corp? McDonald raises his hand. Hartman: yes, Mitch. McDonald: well, sir, if you're going to be an AdminiGAYtor now, shouldn't you be gay? Hartman: well, not necessarily. Vance raises her hand and says, I'm gay. Maybe I could take your position and be Turf's new AdminiGAYtor. Hartman: no, that won't be necessary, Denise, because, McDonald: because you're gay now? Hartman: yes, fine. As your AdminiGAYtor, I am now coming out as gay, yes. Radner: but you've been having a torrid affair with me for 6 months. Hartman aims the gun at Radner and shoots foam darts at her. Radner falls off her chair into a pool of blood. Hartman: no more hetero affairs for me, goddammit. I'm an AdminiGAYtor now. McDonald raises his hand. Hartman: yes, Mitch. McDonald: well, shouldn't you have to prove to us that you're really gay, so we know that you're not just fooling us? Hartman: I don't think that's necessary. McDonald: nonsense. You have to prove to us that you're really gay. Shows Hartman become nervous. McDonald, while smirking, points towards Farley and says, why, if you were really gay, you'd drop between Jim's knees there and suck him off. Hartman: I would? Farley: fuck you, Mitch. McDonald: yep. I reckon that if you really want to prove to those of us you haven't shot down into a pool of blood that you're really gay, you'll prove it by blowing Jim. Right, Denise? Vance: that's right. Hartman: fine. Farley: no way, this is insane. Hartman aims the gun at Farley and says, Listen, Jim, as your new AdminiGAYtor, I have to prove to you all that I'm gay. And there's no better way to do that than by blowing you off. You got it? Farley. I'm sorry, sir, but just because you're gay doesn't mean that I'm gay. Hartman continues to aim the gun and says, I'm blowing one of your heads off either way, so what's it gonna be? Farley rolls his eyes and says, fine. While continuing to point the gun at Farley's head with his right hand, Hartman begins to kneel down between Farley's knees and starts unzipping Farley's pants with his left hand. Shows McDonald rubbing his hands together with a devilish grin, who says, Dead from the earth, we're not alive. It's Saturday Night Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Denitra Vance, and with many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest, Betty Carter, and your host, Donald Pleasance. Everybody, Donald Pleasance. Applause, applause, applause. Shows Pleasance on stage who says, Thank you, thank you. I was an English actor who began my career on stage in the West End before having a screen career, which included starring in the 1954 BBC adaptation of George Orwell's 1984, before playing numerous supporting and character roles in films including Flight Lieutenant Colin Blythe in The Great Escape, the villain Ernst Stavro Blofeld in the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, and the deranged Clarence Doc Tyden in Wake in Flight. Applause, applause, applause. Pleasance. And when I hosted Saturday Night Live in its 7th season, in the cold open I ran into Eddie Murphy in the bathroom, who I found out would puke before a show for good luck. And then I went into a stall to puke myself, and John Belushi came out of the other stall for a surprise cameo in what was his final SNL appearance. So I figured for my monologue here, we check the bathrooms and see if puking is still being done for good luck. Pleasance walks off stage and into a bathroom with 3 stalls. Pleasance knocks on the first stall and says, Hello, who's in there? David Soul comes out of the stall. Applause, applause, applause. Pleasance. Why, it's David Soul from Starsky and Hutch. What are you doing here, David? Soul. Hey, Donald, I was just puking in here when I found out that you were hosting over me. Pleasance. Oh, sorry about that. Pleasance knocks on the second stall and says, Hello, who's in here? Alec Musser comes out of the stall. Applause, applause, applause. Pleasance. Oh, well, look here, it's Alec Musser from All My Children. What are you doing here? Musser. I was also puking over the fact that you're hosting over me. Pleasance. Well, I guess I'm having that effect on people. Let me check the last stall. Pleasance knocks on the last stall and says, Hello, who's in here? John Belushi comes out. Pleasance. What's the matter, John? Puking over me hosting too? Belushi. Nah, just too many Quaaludes. Pleasance. What? Belushi. I'm kidding. I'm clean now. I just can't believe you're hosting. Yuck. Pleasance walks back on stage and says, Well, there you have it, folks. My hosting this show makes the dead puke. Despite that, we have a great show for you tonight. Jazz artist Betty Carter is here, so get ready to open the door. We'll be right back.